Hey everyone, welcome to Play Hooky with me. My name is Roz, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing how to do a corner-to-corner Entrelac pattern using the Tunisian Simple Stitch. Entrelac means to intertwine or interlace to build a pattern, and that's what we're doing here. We're simply making these lovely squares with the Tunisian stitch, building them one on top of the other on the diagonal to create a diamond effect. I do consider this technique to be beginner friendly. We only have a couple of steps that we need to remember, and I think once you get the hang of this, you're going to feel so relaxed and enjoy it thoroughly. So in this video, I'll first share some quick tips to get you started on this technique, as well as how you can easily resize the C2C squares to fit your needs. And then we'll jump right into the step-by-step pattern. As always, I have added timestamps in the description box below, as well as chapters along the progress line so you can skip to your point of interest. Okay, I think that's about it, so let's play some hooky. Tip number one with this is you really want to focus on your hook size. It's recommended when you're working with the Tunisian Simple Stitch, you want to work with a hook that's at least 1 to 2 sizes bigger than what the yarn recommendation is. For example, if you are working with something that requires a size 3mm hook, then you would want to move up to a 4 or a 5. And that's what I did here with mine. This is because you're going to be working in these bars here that you see, and if you're not careful, it can get very tight and hard to work into. If you're looking at this pattern and you want to make sure that you get this kind of checkerboard effect where your solid colors are going to match, like this has a white to begin and a white to end, this has a teal to begin and a teal to end, you're going to have to work in a perfect square to achieve this. Doesn't matter if it's odd or even. This was in a row of 3 blocks. This was in a row of 4 blocks. Another thing I wanted to mention is if you want to work with variegated yarn, one thing to keep in mind is you're going to be fastening off with every row. So you do get quite a good transition going, but it won't be perfect. Regardless, I think a variegated yarn works really well with this pattern. Resizing your square is really easy to do. What you want to focus on are the bars and how many bars that you want it to hold. For example, the tutorial today, I did it with 4 bars, so 4 across and 4 up and down. When we work on this pattern, you always start with 1 square first, and you're going to build on that square from row to row. And the formula for this is really simple. Whatever size square you want, your starting chain is going to be the amount of those bars plus 2. For example, here I wanted 4 bars, so it was a chain of 6. For this example, I did it with 5 bars, 5 across and 5 up and down, so my starting chain was 5 plus 2. This one had 6 bars, so it was 6 plus 2. And you can kind of see where we're going here, right? This one is a 6 by 6 also, but it was a bigger hook and a bigger yarn weight. So your initial square is always going to be the amount of bars you want plus 2, and all the rest of the rows from here on out will be a plus 1. We're going to be fastening on the corners for each row. So this would be row 1, row 2, row 3, and so on. And when you fasten on, you're going to be creating a chain again. For example, on this one that is 4 bars, it would be 4 plus 1 for your next row of chains. If you're working with 5 bars, when you begin your next row, it would be 5 plus 1, 6 plus 1, and so on. For this tutorial, I'm making a square that has 4 bars across and 4 up and down. You may want to go bigger than this. Remember, it's going to be whatever size bars you want plus 2 for your starting chain. Just a quick reminder, when you're working on your chains and with everything on this project, you want to work a little bit more loosely than you normally would, because we're going to be working into all of these loops and chains. Okay, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, once you have your chains ready, you're going to skip that first loop, and then with the remainder of the chains, you're going to pull up a loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're working this pattern with me, you should see 6 loops on your hook. To build the first side of your square, you're going to yarn over and pull through 1 loop. You've just created your side. And now we're going to be yarning over and pulling through 2 all the way across until we get to the beginning. Yarn over, pull through 2, 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 yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're going to go back across again. This is called the forward pass, and we're going to be going through these bars now and pulling a loop again. We're going to go all the way to the end here. So insert your hook into the bar, yarn over, pull through, and keep that loop on your hook. Go into the next bar, yarn over, pull through. Next bar, yarn over, pull through. Try to be as relaxed as you can with this. You don't want to work too tightly because you're creating those really pretty bars in your square. Here we go again, into that bar, yarn over, pull through. And then on the side, do your best to catch both of those loops there on the side, yarn over and pull through. Again, we're going to yarn over and just pull through 1 to create our side. And now for the rest of these loops, we're pulling through 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What we just did there was called the reverse pass, and now we're back to the forward pass. So we're going to insert, pull through, insert, pull through, insert, pull through, insert, pull through, and we're back to a side. Get behind both of those loops there, yarn over, pull through. There we go. Make sure you have 6 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, we're good to go. Yarn over, pull through 1. Now yarn over, pull through 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're getting ready to build our 4th row. Going into the bar, yarn over, pull through. Get behind both loops there, pull through. Okay, and we're on the reverse pass, so we're going to yarn over, pull through 1 to make the side, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, we have made our 4 rows, and even though the last row here looks a bit wonky, just really focus on these bars here. It looks weird, but it counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're at the end here. We need to finish our square, and all we need to do to finish our square is to do slip stitches across. You have an option here. You can chain 1 before you start slip stitching if you want to give yourself some room, but it's not necessary. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch, yarn over, pull through 2. Going into the next bar, yarn over, pull through with a slip stitch. Try to be as loose as you can with this because we're going to be working into these slip stitches later. And slip stitch. Into the bar, yarn over, slip stitch, and then 1 more on that final side there, yarn over and slip stitch. Go ahead and fasten off. You finished your first square. Make sure that your bars are facing upright. We're going to be beginning and starting our next row in the corner here. For this row and every row from here on out, you're going to be starting with a chain, and it's going to be whatever your bar count was plus 1. That's the easiest way to remember this. So for me, I made mine with 4 bars. It's going to be 4 plus 1, so I'm going to fasten on with a chain of 5. You can fasten on however you like best. Just make sure that you get into that corner. Just going to fasten on with a slip knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're just going to begin like we did before. We're going to create loops within these chains here, skipping that first chain from the hook, going in 1, 2, 3, 4, and for that 5th one, we're going to go into the same place that we started to anchor this in with our final loop. And for this pattern, you should have 6 loops on your hook. Now from here on out, again, we don't have to worry about yarning over and pulling through 1. That is just when we're working on these sides. When we're working on everything else, it's always going to be yarning over and pulling through 2. So yarn over, pull through 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We do not work in that first bar that you see there. We're going over here to where our 4 are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. And we have 1 more to go, and so we're going to go into the next row on our block. Yarn over, pull through, and there we go. And now we're going to reverse pass. Yarn over, pull through 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're just going to repeat this all the way across. Here we go again, and then going into the next row there to anchor on, pull through that final loop, yarn over, pull through, 1 and 5. Okay, see how we're doing. We've got 1, 2, 3 bars so far, or 3 rows. Let's go back across, yarn over, pull through. You can see why it's so important to be loose with this. You want to be able to get into these bars. And there's our final one there. Okay, yarn over to reverse pass and through. Okay, good guide here is when you see that you're up to that top of your square, you pretty much know you're ready, because when you see that, that's when you're going to slip stitch to connect to this other square. So what you can do here is just check. I see I have 4 bars. I see I have the top of that square. It's time to slip stitch. Slip stitch all the way across. 2, 3. Okay, that was our 4th bar. We have 1 more to do. We've done 4. We need to do our 5th one. We're going to slip stitch into the top of the first square that we made. So just up there in that top stitch there, slip stitch to anchor it and finish and attach to that square. Now we're going to work on the square that builds here. And really easy to do. All we have to do is just go into the bars and pick up our loops. Okay, and for our 5th one, we have to get into that side. Okay, there we go. Good enough there. Now we are on a side again, so we have to create a side. And this is the only time we do this, but we have to loop over and pull through just 1 to create the side again. Pull through 2 as normal. Okay, so double check, you've got your 4 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are ready to fasten off and complete this square. Here, I'm going to just show you. You can chain 1 if you like, if you want to give yourself some more room. You don't have to. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. And now we're going to slip stitch our way across. So that's 1 and 5. Here we go, beautiful. Okay, and just like before, you're going to make sure that your bars are all upright. We're going to fasten on in this corner right here. I'm doing mine with 4 bars, so I need to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skipping that first chain, I'm going to pull up loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, we go into the same spot for that very first one to pull up a loop. And now we're just going to continue on as we've been. Remember, we're back to just pulling through 2 each time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to work a little faster now because I think you have the idea of this. Okay, and then our 5th one, we attach to the top of that square into that slip stitch there with another slip stitch. There we go. And now we're going to go in. And now we want to connect to this square here, so we're going to go into the side of that square right there in row 1 of that square and pull a loop. Okay, it's kind of sort of awkward. You're kind of working sideways just a little bit. Don't let that bother you. That's normal. And now you're just going to do your normal joining up as you go. Your piece will roll on you. It doesn't matter what kind of yarn you use. This is going to curl, but don't worry about it. Once you put your border on it, it straightens all the way down and lays flat. I'm going to build one more square. Okay, and that's the technique to build your piece. Just keep going row after row after row until you've reached the width of whatever it is you're working on. And now what we're going to do to finish the project is fill in the spaces. So we're going to do 2 squares here or 2 diamonds here and then a final diamond here. Now that will make you a complete square. What if you want to build a rectangle? What you're going to do is you're going to stop wherever your width is. You're not going to continue on and build anymore. You're just going to fill in these gaps, but build at the top to make that rectangle. Do you see what I mean? So you're just going to stop growing it on the width side, but you're going to continue growing it on the height side. So you'll build your blocks just like you were. You just won't be adding on the side. You're going to be fastening on here on the top of this corner to finish. Going into that first stitch at the top there, I'm just going to slip stitch to fasten on. Okay, I'm going to loosen that loop just a little bit. And now we're just going to carry on like we were before. We're just going to pick up our loops with these little bars here. And then the 5th one is in the side of the other square that we're connecting to. 5. All the way back to the beginning. And just continue on until we get to the top here. We're not going to build a block on the side. We're going to stop here. And you're down to your last square. Just fasten on to that bottom corner there. Okay. And now we're ready to do our final square, and you know the drill. Just pick up your loops. And there we go. Chances are, regardless of what kind of yarn you're using, your piece is going to roll. It's kind of the nature of this technique, but don't worry about it. As soon as you put a foundation border on it, it will flatten right down for you. And when I say a foundation border, I just mean single crochets all the way around, just to give it a base in case you want to do a fancier or a more intricate design for your border. But just a simple single crochet border works really nice on this piece. Here's a finished piece here. I did 2 rows of single crochets. I just did single crochets all the way around. I did 3 single crochets in the corner. There isn't a distinct corner. I just kind of created one in that first stitch there in each of those corners. And another little tip here is when I was creating my single crochets, I did not create single crochets where the squares joined together. I just kind of skipped over, and that helped to kind of straighten it up. Because remember, the more single crochets you add, the wavier a piece will get. If you reduce single crochets, it will straighten out on you. And so that's where I found I could just kind of omit a single crochet, and that helped to straighten it out.